Good afternoon. Welcome to the October 8th, 2024 City of Apopka Planning and Zoning Commission. If everyone would please stand with me for a moment of silent prayer and the pledge to the flag. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. During tonight's meeting, each agenda item will have a time for members of the public to speak on that particular item. If anyone is here that has a planning and zoning commission related item they would like to speak on, now would be the time to be recognized. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item number 1, meeting minutes from August 13, 2024. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mo- motion by Commissioner Ryan, second by Commissioner Washington. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We did not have a meeting in September because of a lack of a quorum, so there is no meeting minutes for September. I'd like to put that on the record, please. Item number 1, quasi-judicial special exemption for use of outdoor storage, 100 Herman Smith Road, owners 100 Herman Smith LLC, applicant Terra Tidro, location 100 Herman Smith Road, special exemption use outdoor storage. Has anyone here on the board had any ex parte communication on this matter?
No.
Okay, Mr. Song.
Good evening. This is Jun Song from the Community Development. The applicant has requested a special exception use for outdoor storage as a principal use at 100 Herman Smith Road. The size of the property is about 5 acres. The future land use of the property is industrial and the zoning is light industrial. The surrounding properties has future land use of industrial and zoning of light industrial and PD. Outdoor storage as a principal use is permitted use in the light industrial zoning district with a special exception use permit. DRC has recommended approval, and the recommended motion is to approve a special exception use for outdoor storage as a principal use at 100 Herman Smith Road. Staff and applicant are available to respond to any question. And Rohan, do you want to make a presentation?
Logan Opsahl, 215 North Yola Drive. I do have a presentation prepared, but I know we were joking. This is a very familiar project to all of you, an area on Herman Smith that's been cleaned up with a lot of cooperation and a lot of communication with staff. But I'm happy to answer any specific questions.
Does anyone have questions of the applicant? Commissioner Ryan.
Okay, Herman Smith Road is just east of the project. That's considered a private road. That's not a city road, correct?
It is public right of way up into about our entrance to the property.
Well, it says right here. Yeah, I can see where it says right away where it ends. So
It cuts off right about the entrance of our property, the right of way.
okay, so
Yes, sir.
you're required to maintain that road, correct?
Our portion as it ends into our the right of way comes up into our entrance, but any portion that might be utilized would be maintained. That's correct. Thank you.
Any more questions of the applicant? Any questions of staff?
Thank you for your time.
Thanks,
Stay
sir.
safe.
Does anyone from the public here wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm fine with creating a motion to do this unless anybody else would like to talk about it. Okay. I'll make the motion to approve a special exception to allow the outdoor storage as a principal use for heavy equipment rental service and a business at a property located at 100 Herman Smith Road in the I-L Light Industrial Zoning District, subject to the exhibits and findings of the staff report.
Thank you, sir. Motion by Commissioner Dumey. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Mott. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, large-scale future land use amendment, Ondich South, owners PM S-1 REO LCC, applicants Appian Engineering, care of Luke Klassen PE, location southwest corner of Ondich Road and FE Drive. Project manager, Mrs. Sanchez.
Good evening, Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to recommend approval of the future land use amendment for Ondich South properties from county rural to mixed use. The properties are located on the southwest corner of Ondich Road and FE Drive, approximately 54.85 acres. Ondich South was annexed into the city on August 21st, 2024 under Ordinance 3066. The properties within the Wakaiva Interchange Vision Plan area and under Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Amendment Policy 20.9 and the Kelly Park Interchange Form-Based Code. It requires subject properties to have a mixed use future land use designation before development. Therefore, the DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to recommend approval and transmittal of the change in future land use from county rural to mixed use to the Florida Department of Commerce for Ondich South. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. And we'll have questions of staff.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Washington.
I just note that this approval is pending the Development Review Committee to look at the development plan. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's all I need. Just want to make sure.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Is the applicant here? Do they have a presentation?
Luke Klassen, Appian Engineering, 2221 Lee Road. No presentation. We're just here to answer any questions that you might have
Thank
for
you,
both
sir.
future
Anyone
land
have
use and the next
questions
item.
of the applicant? Very well. Thank you, sir. All right. Does anyone from the public here wish to speak on this matter? All right. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we find the proposed future land use amendment from county rural to mixed use consistent with comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of surrounding areas. Recommend approval of the proposed future land use amendment based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits, as well as transmittal to the Florida Department of Commerce.
Thank you, ma'am. Motion by Commissioner Norwood. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Washington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Right, item number 3, change of zoning and master plan, Ondich South, owners PM S-1 REO LCC, applicant Appian Engineering is the applicant. Location southwest corner of Ondich Road and FE Drive. Change of zoning and master plan, Ms. Sanchez. Oh, excuse me. This is quasi judicial. Has anyone here had any ex parte communication on this matter?
No.
No.
Seeing none. All right, Ms. Sanchez.
For the record, Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is the companion item to the previous agenda item. It is a request to recommend approval of change of zoning from County A1 Citrus Rural to KPIMU Kelly Park Interchange Mixed Use, as well as assignment of transition and neighborhood district overlays and approval of the master plan for Ondich South. The subject properties are currently zoned County A1 Citrus Rural and have a future land use designation of County Rural located on the northern terminus of the Kelly Park Interchange Form-Based Code area. The proposed KPIMU zoning as well as transition and neighborhood district overlays for Ondich South are compatible with the intent of the city's comprehensive plan and KPI Form-Based Code. The master plan details a conceptual plan for a mix of residential products comprising 326 single-family detached and attached units proposed on approximately 54 acres. The plan calls for 193 townhome units, 95 rear-loaded lots with 34 feet of width, and 38 rear-loaded lots with 40 feet of width. The transition overlay requires an open space area of 15%, and the neighborhood overlay requires 20%. The applicant proposes a total of 11.24 acres of open space that encompass an amenity area, playground buffer, and amenitized stormwater pond. The master plan also shows approximate access points and connections. There are internal connection points offered from the south of the subdivision, including a connection to the Crossroads development to the south via Firebush Drive right-of-way and two others east of said road. The finite details of the site layout and access points will be provided at the time of major development plan process. The DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to recommend approval of the proposed change of zoning, assignment of transition and neighborhood district overlays, and master plan based on the findings and facts in the staff report. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Does anyone have questions of staff?
Mr. Chairman, I do.
Okay. Commissioner Doomy.
The KPI mixed use,
I'm sorry.
the KPI mixed use section, is this in this circular zone? Do you have that on your maps?
The regulating plan?
Mhm.
Yes, we do have a map of the regulating
Does
plan.
this include all of these 1, 2, 3, 4 lots, or is it a section of this?
It's included the northern terminus of the regulating plan. I know it's circular, but these portions of the regulating plan actually includes all these parcels. It
Okay.
is the most northern terminus. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. I realize it's not an exact circle. But
Mhm.
yeah, okay, that's it.
All right. Any more questions? All right. Mr. Clausen? Anyone have questions of the applicant? Very well. Thanks for coming. All right. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I have something I'd like just to bring up to the board. You know, this is 11 acres of open space on 54 total acres. This is about the minimum, 20%. And thank you to the applicant for including a playground and other amenities. It's really incumbent upon the city, though, to change the land development code to make that more, require more open spaces for these communities. That's the way so I can't blame them for, you know, doing the bare minimum on the open space, but I think we should fix that at the city level.
Very well. Mr. Howe, are you listening?
Yes, and I think those discussions that come up during the comp plan workshop that we had back in September about a little bit more additional open space.
All right.
I think we should sync up with Orange County as much as we could, you know, so that we're more in harmony with what they're doing. That would be my recommendation. I think they're 35% contiguous. So
Yeah.
we're 20. So it's it's a 15% variance. That's pretty significant.
Right. Very well. All right. Any more discussion or a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to find the proposed land use amendment from the change of zoning from County A1 Citrus Rural to KPI MU Kelly Park Interchange mixed use and assignment of transition and neighborhood district overlays and master plan, finding the proposed change consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas based on the findings and facts presented by the staff report and exhibits.
Thank you, sir. Motion by Commissioner Mott. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Ryan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 4. Amendment to the Land Development Code to allow outdoor recreation in the MUD and COR zoning districts. Mr. Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Bobby Howell, Planning Manager. The city had been approached by an interested party who was looking to do a pickleball court here in the downtown area, which is an outdoor recreation, which is not a permitted use in the mixed use downtown of which we're at. So with that, staff looked at the code and saw that recreation outdoor was permitted in a whole laundry list of zoning districts, but not within the downtown or commercial corridor district. So with that, we prepared this text amendment to a code to allow outdoor recreation within the downtown and the commercial corridor district to present more opportunities for entities who would want to do like a private pickleball court within the downtown and bring more people within the downtown, or along one of our commercial arteries where they could do, one of the big time outdoor recreation areas. So with that, our recommendation is approval. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I do. Is any
All right.
specific,
Commissioner Washington.
sorry, I didn't want to jump over you. Is any specific location downtown this person's interested in?
Yes, he owns some property off of 4th Street.
On 4th Street?
Yes.
I think it's a good idea.
Anyone else?
Yeah, first, thanks. This is
Commissioner Duty.
great. This is a great idea, Mr. Howell. So thank you.
Thank you.
100% support this.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll
Mr.
create
Chair,
the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of ordinance number 3075, amendment to principal use table, section 4.2.2C of the Land Development Code.
Thank you, sir. Motion by Commissioner Dumey. Do I have a second?
second.
Second by Commissioner Washington. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Ordinance number 3078, large-scale future land use amendment, Chandler Hills, owner Orchid Estates HOA Community, Mega GNG LLC, Jacob Snavely, 42625 Chandler Road LLC, Matthew and Deborah Shaw, Daphne Martin, Walter H. Robinson III, Yoon Sik Irrevocable Trust, PM-S1 REO LLCC, applicant Jonathan Hewells, location 2350 West Kelly Park Road. Mr. Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Bobby Howell, Planning Manager. Applicant has submitted a large-scale future land use amendment from county rural, city flu in progress, future land use in progress, and city residential, very low suburban to mixed use to bring property to the Kelly Park form-based code area. Applicant is requesting this to bring it within the form-based code area and to bring the development within the neighborhood character zone, which would allow up to 5 units per acre. The total site area is 116.94 acres and is located at 2350 West Kelly Park Road. The applicant is requesting a future land use amendment to allow for the potential development of 392 single-family residences, of which is not permitted under the current future land use designation. There's numbers within the staff report that show that this would basically double what is permitted there currently. This is a master plan that was submitted by the applicant and is currently under review for the rezoning aspect. That's not being presented this evening. We're just considering the large-scale future land use at this point in time. Orange County Public Schools' indicated capacity is not available at the high school level and is deficient by 20.881 seats. The Development Review Committee recommends approval, and the recommended motion this evening is to approve large-scale future land use amendment and recommend approval of this and transmittal to the State Department of Commerce. That concludes my presentation. The applicant, Mr. Hewells, is here as well, and I believe he has a presentation.
Very well, Michelle. Thank you. Anyone have questions of staff? Very well. Does anyone have questions of the applicant or Mr. Hewells? Do you have a presentation?
I did prepare. Let me introduce myself first. Chairman, good evening. Jonathan Hewells with the Lowndes Law Firm, 215 North Eola Drive, Orlando 32801. Appreciate yours and every commission member's service here and dedication to being here and having a quorum on what's a very busy week and a lot going on for us. And I wish you all a safe remainder of your week. I did prepare a presentation. I'm happy to present it. Perhaps answer any questions you have. It's really how you would like to proceed, Chairman.
Great. Anyone have questions of the applicant?
I have a question,
Mr. Mott.
and I don't know if this is for Mr. Howe or you, but when you just mentioned that Orange County Public Schools said that they don't have, if this goes through, they don't have space for high school level. Did I hear that correctly?
That's correct, sir.
So help me understand, if Orange County Public School does not have space for a school system, whether it be elementary, middle school, or high school, what would then theoretically happen if this were approved?
And I can answer, or you can, whichever you prefer. So I can start out, and Jonathan, I know, deals a lot with the school board as well. In our comp plan, there is a provision that states that the governing body can, when they make a determination on capacity issues, because this is a capacity issue right now for the school system. Whenever you do a future land use or rezoning under the county's charter, there's capacity. And so they look at that and they see how many kids are in the school system based on the development. And there's a formula that they have that generates the amount of students that are generated. They're saying that this development would cause a deficiency of 20.881 students in Apopka High School. That's in our comp plan. There, you can use that as a way to form your recommendation if you want to approve or deny the amendment going forward. Then once you get into the development stage, which is under Florida law, it's called concurrency, which is basically if there's not enough capacity in the system, basically one can look at, if they don't have that, they can take what's called adjacency, and they can go with adjacent school zones or capacity zones, or what they're called, and take from that. And if not, then if there's none of that left, they can then mitigate with a monetary contribution or land or something along those lines. So that's how the process works in a nutshell.
And I'll just add a little editorial to it. And with respect to the capacity determination that is required as part of this comp plan amendment, that's a process that's unique to Orange County. It's actually codified in the charter, and it's meant to be informative of what the status of the schools are now for information purposes of planning for the future. Realizing that right now we're at step one of what's going to be a lengthy development approval process. Right now we're at the transmittal of the comp plan to change the map color of, and to follow that, we have a rezone application that is under review that is going to come before you, and then we'll also need to go to City Council. After that is the major development plan that would also go through staff review, come before you, go to City Council. Then we have construction site plan, same process. Then we have actual construction. So the students likely wouldn't be generated from this school for a few years, and it won't be all at once. Obviously, subdivisions by their nature, it's phased in how they're developed, and it's not a giant slug of students at once. But later in the process, at the construction site plan, is when that school concurrency review is done. And if at that time Apopka High School still is suffering from an overcapacity issue, and there is an adjacency at the local schools, high school, then there will be made to make a mitigation payment, and that mitigation payment is meant to fund the construction of additional schools. And I think what's frustrating everyone right now is sometimes the perception, or maybe the reality, that there isn't enough coordination through local governments and OCPS to get these schools built fast enough. I'll tell you, from this side of the podium, we're very much willing to be a partner in that and committed to providing those dollars earlier in the process and additional dollars so those schools can get built. But we're very, before students actually, we're looking at a snapshot in time now versus a reality. Who knows where we'll be in a couple of years, and there's a process to deal with it then.
So when you mention concurrency, are you saying that at that point, because the process has moved along, at that point, that then notifies Orange County Public School, and then at that point they determine if there are other locations that can absorb?
Correct.
Okay.
That's the adjacent.
So that does not get triggered in the beginning.
Correct. Capacity is solely looking at the 3 schools that this property is districted for.
And I would have a question to our attorney here. I'm not seeing where where this process is quasi judicial. Is that correct?
No, this process is legislative because it's a plan amendment, so any plan amendment is legislative.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Isn't there
Commissioner Ryan.
isn't there a high school plan by Orange County on a plot of land that's on Brown Lake Road and Sadler Road?
I've heard that. Yes, I believe
And I've
so.
heard that as well.
That is correct.
And
And-
there's signs up there
Yeah,
announcing it.
been there for
And
years.
that-
Yeah.
And that will be and I think what is happening on that side of town with respect to all of the new projects that are come online, that school's going to need to become a reality here in the near future. And the fees that will be paid by each of these projects as they come through, either in the form of mitigation or in the form of just straight school impact fees, or the dollars that are going to be required to build it. So if the process works, that school should come online at the same time that there's actual students being generated from some of these projects that come before you today, and will actually be going as students there.
Can you get a timeline from Orange County School?
I certainly could try. I mean, I think we're all pushing. And, I think they use these processes in the analysis of what's coming through as projections. But I obviously, we all would like to see that school built sooner than later. We'll do whatever we can to make that happen.
One second, I want to interject something here because we've gone through this many times, and I know you probably weren't privy to this, or you weren't a parent. Like, and you're talking about the school that's proposed out. They buy the property and get that ready. That's been there a long time. I think I was on the county commission when that was approved. So, and if we look and try and judge these by school capacity, we'll never approve one. It's kind of the same way the roads. If we go, well, the roads can't put up with this new division. Well, one follows the other, and you can't. The school's never going to build excess capacity ever. And if you go to one of their meetings where they're looking at that, it's kind of a different. And so, when we see that here that they don't have the capacity for it, tell me if I'm wrong, Bobby. Half the time they never have capacity for what we're proposing. Would that be accurate?
I would say probably 90 to 100%.
It's 100%.
Well, I know most times they never have it, and it kind of it's the horse before the cart in their case. But we build that, and then they chase the school capacity, and they won't build the school capacity prior ever. So it always comes up, and if we use that and say, well, they don't have school capacity, we can't do this, we'd never build anything. The same kind of way, if the roads can't take it, we'd never build anything. So it's kind of it's kind of a backwards process. But if you ever watch their meetings and how they have to plan and make adaptations when a neighborhood is here and it's full of kids and they bury the school, and then the kids go off to college and now the school has nothing, and then the kids come from another neighborhood. So it's a balancing act with them. And like he had said, we never have capacity. That's not. I'm not saying that it's not a factor, but that can't be a drop dead factor on this, because if we stop them based on school capacity, we never approve anything. You follow? Okay.
If I,
Commissioner Washington, go ahead.
thank you, sir. So, thank you for explaining the process. And at the end of the road, if capacity cannot be identified, then there's mitigation funding.
Mhm.
Now, does that funding happen before the development goes into the ground or after?
It's before. So the trigger for single family residential is prior to plat approval. Plat approval is, of course, you cannot build a home until you have plat approval. So you fund your mitigation payment then. The idea being that those dollars are available to the school board to fund the necessary, either sometimes they look at expansions of campus, although they don't do that as much as they used to, but really the funding of the construction of the new school. And those dollars are supposed to hit and be utilized for that. That's what the process has been designed for. And that's the framework. And so they get those dollars earlier than what they, otherwise get when you pay just the school impact fees at issuance of building permit.
Right. So would those funds be used to accommodate the students coming out of our project, or are they going to go to East Orlando?
According to concurrency, they're supposed to be, yeah, I know, but they're supposed to be utilized to address the capacity issue of the specific project. So there is some law, some case law out there. They can't go and build a school, use those dollars to build a school over in East Orlando or anywhere not
Yeah,
here.
I understand that. We had that issue though with roads. Apopka's been paying in for the roads, but we never saw the benefit of it. That was behind my question. Thank you.
Mr. Ryan, you had something else?
Yes, I do. What about wastewater capacity? That's one thing you can't kick down the road.
The comp plan reads that that is determined prior to the issuance of a development order. So this is not a development order. This is a land use decision at this time. But that is something that, being that it's not a quasi-judicial matter, that you can take into account.
And that was it's something certainly, early in the process, that's where, if the process works, and it should, and we have a great development team that's going to, I'm confident we'll stay ahead of it. We'll make sure that there's capacity there. I mean, certainly the last thing anyone would want is someone to invest the time, the effort, the cost, to process all these approvals to get to a point where there wouldn't be wastewater capacity to serve a project. I mean, that would be, I think a lot of people would probably not have their jobs if that ends up being the case. So that's something that will have to be, and that's part of the process, right? We're at step one of what will take several returns to this board as the project matures and becomes with additional detail, and then even then, sometime before even homes are built.
Well, I think our wastewater capacity is supposed to max out at 2029. Is that correct, Mr. Howe?
Yeah, we got those numbers for you from Public Services some time ago. I'd have to go back and look at that, but that sounds close, yes, if I recall correctly.
Well, I'm going to make that note, make sure we get ahead of that.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Commissioner Dumey.
Just one thing, Mr. Hughes, you've been a good partner with us on other projects, and I know that your site plan in here is just a concept, and we're talking about the future land use amendment, but my ask would be to please see if you can save some of the trees and the mature trees and the landscaping whenever you come back to us with the site plan.
Sure.
That'd
Yeah.
be my ask. So,
Yeah. And just to be, that site plan is hopefully does come before you for a formal review in the not too distant future. So we'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
That's going to be part of this zoning that's being proposed, is it locks in a site plan. So there is benefit that it's not just a straight zoning where we're just getting a map color. The zoning that would be approved is going to lock in a actual site plan that the project will guide the future development of the project.
All right. Any more questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
All right, Commissioner Washington.
My subdivision is adjacent to this project, and I'm glad it's happening, because for 17 years, all I could hear are AR-45s and 47s. Back there.
AR-15.
What?
AR-15.
Excuse me, and I'm not a gun.
AK-47. There you go.
I don't own a gun, but every now and then you be hearing those guns going off.
Oh man.
So
Well,
thank you.
sure. And then I will tell you, I'm not directly involved, but there's been a lot of effort. Obviously, you heard the title read in. This is an assemblage project, which is not always an easy one to corral and bring through. So the good news is you're taking a lot of bits and pieces and you're unifying through one development scheme. There's benefits we'll talk about when it comes back for the zoning, including a significant donation of right-of-way on Kelly Park. So there's some really good benefits in this project we're going to be excited to share with you.
All right. And just to be clear, there's no shooting range on this property.
That's
No, that concept's left off. So
Okay, you're good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Waiting for it to come up.
Can you bring it up on the screen? Nobody wants to read it off the paper.
go back. Shoot. Yeah. Let me scan through
We're going to put him to work tonight.
There you
my finger.
go. There it is.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, since this is right in my neighborhood, I will make a motion to find a proposed change in future land use designation from county rural, city FLU in progress, and city residential very low suburban to city mixed use, consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code, and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas. Yes. Recommend approval of the proposed change of zoning based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits, and recommend approval of ordinance number 3078.
And if I may interrupt for a second, it should say
That's-
change of future land use.
Yeah, that's
the
the wrong
typo.
one.
Yes, so I apologize for
I'm
that.
looking at one.
Okay, just amend it to say future land use right there.
You want to read or just make the change here?
Yeah, just,
I like to alter what I said where it says change of zoning to change of future land use.
there you go. That's sufficient? Very well. Thank you, sir. Motion by Commissioner Washington. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Norwood. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Ordinance 3079, small scale future land use amendment, 2300 West Poncan Road. Request approval of future land use map amendment from county rural to residential low suburban for 2300 West Poncan Road. Owners Jason Monroe Lee, Kara Dawn Lee, applicant Jason Lee. Location 2300 West Poncan Road. As this is quasi judicial, I will ask if any members of the board had ex parte communication on this matter.
No.
Very well. Mr. Soon.
For the record, this is Junson from the Community Development Department. The applicant has requested a change of future land use of the property located at 2300 West Poncan Road from county rural to city residential low suburban, which allows 3.5 dwelling units per acre. The total size of the property is 3.56 acre. The property was annexed in 2014 by ordinance number 2379. The property is surrounded by residential land use, and the proposed land use is I'm so sorry. Okay, so the property was surrounded by residential land use, and the proposed land use is consistent and comparable with the surrounding properties. The property is currently being used as a single-family house for one household, and the owner of the property has indicated that there's no future plan for any development. DRC has recommended approval. The recommended motion is recommending approval of the proposed change of future land use from county rural to residential low suburban. Staff and applicant are available to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Anyone have questions? Anyone have questions of the staff?
No.
Very well. Anyone have questions of the applicant?
No.
Very well. Does anyone from the public here wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll create the motion.
All right.
I recommend a motion to find, let me start over. I'd like to propose a motion to find the proposed change in future land use designation from county rural to city residential low suburban consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the proposed change of future land use based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Thanks, sir. Motion by Commissioner Dumey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Washington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Ordinance number 3082, rezoning 1770 Sheeler Avenue. Owners Ital Gay, applicant Brent Lezen,
Mr.
PE,
Chair,
Kimberly Horn.
Mr. Chairman, that's the next item. We skipped item number 7.
Which
Seven.
one? Did we skip one here?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I got them backwards. Okay. I apologize. I rescind that. Ordinance number 3080, change of zoning, 2300 West Poncan Road. Owners Jason Monroe Lee, Kara Dawn Lee, applicant Jason Lee. Location 2300 West Poncan Road. Project manager, Mr. Soon.
For the record, this is Junsun from the Community Development Department. The applicant has requested a rezoning of the same property located at 2300 West Punkham Road from T transition to RSF1B Residential Single Family District Large Lot, which allows 5 dwelling units per acre. The total size of the property is 3.56 acre. The property is surrounded by residential zoning districts, which are RSF1A and RSF1B, and the proposed zoning is consistent and comparable with the surrounding properties. DRC has recommended approval, and the recommended motion is recommending approval of the proposed rezoning from T to RSF1B. Staff and applicant are available to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Soon. As this is quasi judicial, I need to ask, has anyone on the board had any ex parte communication on this matter?
No.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions of staff?
Yeah, I have one.
Commissioner Ryan?
What is the speed limit in front of the piece of land?
I believe it's 45 miles an hour.
I mean, it's the way it's structured. It's like how do you get in and out of there without blind? Yeah, it seems like be a blind turn into that property, no matter where you put it.
The applicant is here, Mr. Lee. It's his personal residence. So if you want to kind of come up and explain that.
Please give us your name and address for the record, sir.
Jason Lee, 2300 West Poncan Road, Apopka. If you don't mind, ask that question one more time.
The entrance to the property, I'm worried about being a blind curve because of the way it's situated on that 45 mile an hour, 40 miles an hour.
I think it's 35. Pretty sure it's in the curve.
Okay. It is 35.
Yeah, I'm pretty
okay.
sure.
My apologies.
Mhm. And the school zone is actually right after it to the west. Yeah. I've lived there since 2011.
Is there any hazard of somebody coming to a stop trying to turn left into the property?
Say that again?
Is there any issues with someone trying to turn into the property with being a blind curve there?
It's never been an easy property to get in or out of. Like I said, I've lived there since 2011. So my wife and I talked about potentially building a house and realizing that we annexed in, got a transitional zoning, and cannot build a house if we wanted to. That's what prompted this. So just if we wanted to replace our home and build another home, we wouldn't be able to at the moment. So which is why we're going through this.
Where's the entrance to that property?
Can you see where the home is? There's actually a moon-shaped driveway, 2 entrances. You can't see it in the aerial, unfortunately. It's more to the west of the property.
Right there. Okay.
And actually, as it happens, we have a driveway. You can kind of see it that goes east and then comes out past the curve. That's the way we access it. And then we don't have to worry about the curve.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Any more questions of the applicant?
I do, yeah.
Commissioner Washington.
So it says here in the document that we're reading, it says you're applying for a change of zoning, but you're not putting in a development or improving the property. Did you say something about you have an existing house there that you?
We
want
have
to
an existing home. It's our homestead. Yes.
And so that's the only reason why you want this, so that you can improve the house?
Well, we
I'm not
bought it to
sure.
live there. And when we talked about potentially building another home there, we found out we wouldn't be able to under the current zoning.
Oh, okay. So if you build another home, it will still be one home.
There would be another home if we decide. Like I said, there's no plan currently for the property. It was just merely us talking about building a home on there, finding out that we couldn't based on the current zoning. Because when we annexed, it wasn't giving a future land use and zoning when we annexed in 2014.
Okay, so maybe I'm confused. There's no home there now?
Yeah, there's a home there now.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. I'm sorry if I'm not answering that.
Okay, so you have an existing home and
Correct.
you need this in order to improve upon the home or
Or
build
put
a
in an
home.
additional home and sell that one or what have you. Exactly. Exactly. The property is 3.56 acres. So, I mean, if we wanted to say upgrade and build a bigger home and sell that one or even keep that one, whatever, but we couldn't do that right now given the zoning currently.
Okay, so eventually it could be two homes there.
There could be, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, you good?
I'm finished.
Okay. Any more questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we find the proposed change of zoning from T transitional to RSF 1B residential single family district large lot consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas. Recommend approval of proposed change of zoning based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Thank you, ma'am. Motion by Commissioner Norwood. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Washington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item number 8. Request for the change of zoning from RSF 1B to RTF to allow development of duplexes. Owners, Italian Guy, applicant Brent Lazen, P.E. Kimberly Horn. Parcel location is 1770 Sheeler Avenue.
Good before this is a quasi judicial
Oh,
matter.
you're right. Okay. I'm sorry. Has anyone had ex parte communication on this matter?
No.
Okay. Very well.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amir Hamza. I'm a planner at the Community Development Department. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from residential single-family large lot RSF 1B to residential two-family RTF for property located on 1770 Sheeler Avenue, which is just south of Cleveland Street and north of Sheeler Oaks Drive. These are the vicinity and aerial maps of the 1770 Sheeler Avenue site. The total site area is 9.92 acres and has a street frontage of 654 feet. The applicant is requesting the rezoning to allow for the development of a subdivision that includes a mix of duplexes, which is two-family units, along with single-family homes. Two-family units are permitted use in the RTF zoning district per Land Development Code 3.6. The future land use is residential low, which gives a density of 5 units an acre. Zoning, as mentioned before, is currently residential single-family large lot RSF 1B and is proposed to change to residential two-family RTF. The Development Review Committee has recommended approval. The recommended motion is to find the proposed change of zoning from RSF 1B residential single-family large lot to RTF residential two-family consistent with the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code, which is compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, and to recommend approval of the proposed change of zoning based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits. Staff and applicant are here for any questions and comments to be answered.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone have questions of staff?
I do.
Commissioner Washington.
Sure.
I drove down to this property to take a closer look at it.
Mhm.
And I couldn't get a clear view of it from Sheeler Avenue, so I drove through an adjacent subdivision, drove through that subdivision,
Mm-hmm.
so then I can see what we're talking about. So one question is, there's a radio station building there. I guess it's inoperative.
Is a what building there?
It-
Sorry, I couldn't
It
hear.
looks like a building associated with the radio station.
Yeah, it was an old radio.
Yeah, it's an abandoned building. So
Abandoned.
there's currently nothing on that site. It's currently vacant. It's just an abandoned building on there.
So when this development goes through, will this building be removed?
That would be correct. Yeah, it would be
And what
removed.
about the antennas?
The what?
Antennas.
Antennas? That I don't know. I think the applicant may have an answer to that.
Okay, well, I have other questions. Come on up.
Yeah.
The price is right.
Josh, South Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32801. And so to answer your question on will the antennas be going down? Yes, that is the intention.
All three of them?
All three of them, correct.
Okay,
And currently they are not in operation. So it won't affect anything
okay,
within the
all
community.
right. The other thing is, when I looked at the property, it is not an easy build to me. It looks like it's sunken,
Yeah.
right? Is it not?
Yeah. So based off of the survey and site visits, everything kind of slopes down uh, to the lake or man-made lake, right in that subdivision. So I would say that it's not necessarily um, an easy build, but with I think based off of a preliminary, we'd be able to grade and kind of keep that same grading style with just a single retaining wall.
So will you be leveling the property? Because it is sunken, as you
Right.
just said.
Correct.
You'll be, wait, how are you gonna do that?
So, basically what we would do is there's not a, it's towards the edge of the property where it's sunk. It's right where if you look at the property, there's a lake that kind of interjects into the property. The idea is not to impact that lake at all. Essentially, we would start off of that and then build up, uh, keeping in mind all of the retaining wall restrictions of Apopka, the 6 foot height, and all of that, and basically just bring up the low side, and then the high side we would still keep high and just kind of slope it down. And for this purpose right now, all we're asking for is rezoning to
Yeah.
basically allow the use of duplexes. So we'll definitely be taking all of this into account when we go in and for
Right,
site plan
no, I
approval.
realize you have to go back to review for this. Uh, And I guess when it goes back for review, this property is also adjacent to the Apopka firing range.
Correct. The police department owns a firing range right next door, and the police commissioner did talk about what he would like to see with this property and how what buffers he would like to see and whatnot. And once we get into the site plan review process, that's when we're gonna really work with him and see what we can do to
Okay.
help that.
That's good.
So you definitely don't want to buy a lot in there.
Maybe he wants to buy it.
Any more questions of staff or the applicant?
Yeah, I got a question, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
Commissioner Doomy.
So to Mr. Washington's point, I know that that's been a pain point for the police department to be out there. I think they're limited to like maybe daytime only firing of guns out there, doing training, which is vitally important in the public safety business. So I want to make sure that if we do go forward with this, that we make sure that you work with them and make sure that they can do their job sufficiently, because that is a city asset, the police training range. Second point I wanted to make was when I kind of looked through the concepts here and it looked like a pretty intensive development. Is there a provision for more open spaces, maybe playgrounds? Because there's really nothing in that part of town for recreation down on Sheeler Avenue. I've walked that area quite a bit different times, and it's nothing but houses and sidewalks.
Yeah. So the site plan and it's still in development, but we are planning on providing amenities and whatnot for the residents of the subdivision.
Is it going to mirror the buildings directly to the north? Because there is a duplex complex, I believe, directly to the north of this, correct?
Correct. It's not the same owner, so we'll keep that in mind as we're developing the architectural plans, but it's not going to be exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, good. Okay.
Any more questions? Anyone? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Does anyone here from the public wish to speak on this matter? Yes, ma'am. Please come up front. Give us your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Monica Marlowe. I live at 930 Lock Carvin. in Apopka. I am actually here on behalf of my company, which is Lake Apopka Natural Gas, and I wanted to ask the developer, how many homes are you looking to put here?
So currently we're looking at 40 homes. And
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Mr. Holmes, I have a question. So on 9 acres, there's 40 houses there, and it says here in that the RTF zone, compatible to surrounding areas, but then I'm looking at the zoning and the present use is a church, a single family subdivision, and a church in the Apopka Services Complex. Is there anything around there that has that high of a density that's adjacent to that? It's describing all these subdivisions that are in the area, but what I'm looking at, it's a surrounding area, the density is nowhere near that.
Currently, looking at the surrounding properties that have subdivisions that include that zoning do not have the dwelling units, the duplexes, but the zoning allows it. But because there is the RTF zoning in the surrounding areas currently with that existing zoning, someone can, if there's an existing residential 2-family zoning, someone can already build the 2-family units. So this would be no different to rezone it to, because in the surrounding areas there are subdivisions that have the RTF zoning.
Right. Okay. All right. And I assume that public notice was sent out on this,
Yeah, there was notices that were sent out.
and no reaction. Nobody showed.
The applicant would know. Yeah.
Okay.
Josh Enot. Yes, we did host a community meeting, and we had 3 people attend that meeting. And then from there, we sent out minutes and then engaged with the public in that respect. And then also to answer your question on the relative density, this rezoning doesn't change the current existing density that's allowable on the property. The only thing that it does is allow for duplexes.
Correct. No, I understand that. I'm just curious. The surrounding areas that wasn't seeing that. Okay. Thank you. All right. Bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Commissioner, I still just want to bring something up here, a point of discussion for all of us.
Commissioner Dewey.
It's just thinking about the public safety complex right behind there. And is there a way that we could make a motion that to go forward with the development, there has to be an agreement with the Apopka Police Department?
We could, but you ever heard about the King's rule? The King does what he wants.
Yeah.
That's City of Apopka. Who's going to intrude upon that? Who's going to go tell the police department you can't shoot your guns here anymore? You know what I'm saying? I understand what your point is, but I don't think there's any chance of that happening. And I think they're already talking about moving to use this gun range or something
Well,
like that.
they're definitely going to move.
But
because
what I'm saying,
people are complaining.
in other words, they couldn't build a subdivision there and then everybody start complaining. It's not going to make any difference. The city's going to do what the city does, and that was already there.
Yeah,
Like if you move in next to a water treatment plant, you don't like the smell. Well, it's kind of hard to complain.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't stop
the King's
them, but
rules.
Yeah, I hear you. I just don't want to constrain the police department from being able to do any kind of training. That's simply it. And maybe there is no concern here, but as long as
No, I don't believe there is. Am I incorrect in that, Mr. Howe?
No, and right now there's existing zoning in place, RSF 1B, so somebody could come in today and submit a development plan and not have to go through the rezoning process, and that would be that.
right, there'd be houses though instead.
It's already entitled for
Duplexes.
single-family homes, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so it'd be houses instead of duplexes, less density.
That's the only change. It's really going to be the same density because the future land use guides the density, so they can't exceed 5 units an acre. It's already got the 5 units per acre on it. So really the change is to just allow duplexes on the property, but they can't exceed 5 dwelling units an acre.
Very well. Good?
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Ready for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to find the proposed change of zoning from RSF 1B residential single-family lot, large lot to RTF residential two-family consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code, compatible with the character of the surrounding areas. Recommend approval of the proposed change of zoning based on the findings, fact presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Thank you, sir. Motion by Commissioner Mott. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Ryan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All righty. Do we have any old business? Anyone? New business? There we go. Meeting adjourned.
You.